And the next card is let's just call it verse 5.
Yeah, it's this beginning of
Because
the final group of verses, and we begin with and this is some of these verses are written from the perspective of the Vex, so they're weird. They sound like computer code again.
pretty much. It's worth pulling up. If you got it, you'll just grimoire in front of you. Verse 5. This is, by the way, from the perspective of Quria, who is in conversation with Oryx. Brackets interdict. Simulate worship. End bracket. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to salt my meat with your briny little thoughts. I'm going to cook flesh on your broken, molten hull. Brackets insinuate. Subvert. Replicate. Close brackets. This ship is my throne. You want to take it from me, you want to fill it up with your own spawn and use it for your abstract purposes, but I defy you. Brackets observe, imitate, usurp, close brackets. You will never be what I am. Simulate me, wretch. Calculate the permutations of my divinity. Compute the death in the shape of my throne. Render my shadow on the stone of 10,000 graveyard worlds. It will never be enough. I hold the tablets of ruin. I speak to the deep. Not with a galaxy of thinking matter could you encompass me. Behold. Unknown. Enigma. Shortfall. Abort. Halt. Abort. And that's where the card ends. So it's not entirely clear whether this is the point at which, you know, he has decided all of a sudden, hey, let's just go ahead and just straight up destroy Quria. It's not clear if it's necessarily been taken or something, but it's definitely the case that Quria is no more by this point.
Yeah, that's what abort, halt, abort is pretty much machine for panic.
Machine for shit just hit the fan.
Yeah, shit just hit the fan. Everything's gonna die!
Oh my god! Oh god. Okay. Rip. But yeah, no, it's very much bad, and next card demonstrate that. Quote, end of a failed timeline. And this is kind of a simulation that Quria is working out in its mind. By now, Quria knows it can't win. There's something pathological about the world inside Oryx's ship. It resists analysis with hot, dead spite. And Oryx himself, he's irreducible. He refuses to obey Quiria's simulations. He crashes around, sowing chaos. He grabs subminds and compromises them with some kind of ontological weapon. Paracausal system is very problematic. So basically what he's saying is he's taking Vex, and that's causing havoc because Quria can't calculate when the Vex are taken. It's A, because, you know, it's something where he can no longer predict what those enemy Vex will do, probably, but also because the Vex are one mind, technically, even though Quria here is referred to separately. And it's literally a case of Oryx is taking its processing power. So, interesting distinction. Let's see. Quria is trying the religious tactics it involved with the Hive Manifold, but even on those terms, Oryx is strong. So strong. Quria won't be able to protect the gates much longer. The closest Quria got to a simulation of Oryx is a best guess bootstrap. It's wrong. Quria is sure of that. It's Oryx minus the symbiote organism, minus the wings and morphs, minus the weapon, minus the power. No good for anything. Quria manifests that simulation away just to see what happens. The Taken King marches on Quaria's Hydra hull, armed with blade and magic, cloaked in ancient cloth, and the universe wails in horror. Quaria's physics models and toy worlds choke and crash. Quria observes, alerts, and attentive, and as a single quark splits at the tip of Oryx's sword. From within the Hydra hull, Quiria's tiny, not Oryx, speaks. What are you, it says. It's manifesting terror and awe. Oryx's eyes blaze with a curiosity that is entirely isomorphic with hate, with ferocious hunger. Orush, he says in his hive language, you've made me as I was. You've made me a tiny Orush. Ha! So, interesting thing, Quria actually simulates him as he originally was. You know, it's literally a way of going back to everything that he was as his roots. Which again, Quria says it's totally useless. There's no reason to have it in the first place, and he's completely correct. Oryx kneels. No way.
No, that's it. Or no.
Quria
Quria.
updates the simulation's name. Oryx is curious. You're me. You're me as I become. Oryx kneels, his blade on his left shoulder. Quria is firing every available weapon at him, but his wards don't break. He looks into Quiria's sensors through the hammering fire and says, "Child, I have everything you wanted. I am immortal. I know the great secrets of the universe. I have scouted the edges of the darkness, and I have chased the lying goddamn galactic arms in a howling pack of moons. In my first, I carry the secret power that will rule eternity. In my worm I bear the tribute of my court and my children, the Hope Eater, the Weaver, and the Unraveler. And with this tribute, I smash my foes. I am Oryx, the Taken King. I am almighty." Quria samples the Teox intelligence retrieved from the Ecumene Gate. That's a very important sentence there. These are useful names. I feed them into the situation. Simulation, God. "What about your sisters?" Orash asks his future self. "Savathûn, Zyro, are they with you?" The Taken King's fangs glint. That sound might be a laugh or a hiss. Quria shuts down its weapons and puts all its spare resources into sending telemetry to the Greater Vex. There will be points in space and time where this data is vital. There will be great projects undertaken in study of this ontological power, this throne space. "Where are my sisters?" Orash shouts. "What have you done with my people? What have you done?" But Oryx's fist is full of black fire, and the next thing Quria sees is a light like stars. So this is the point at which Oryx has now become so powerful that even as we, humans, back in the Ishtar Academy, have Vex that are randomly simulating multiple different variants of us, he is now capable of looking into those simulations, communing with them, talking with them, overriding them.
So that's what's happening. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So this is
The Vex-
Oryx taking possession of a simulation that Korra is making of him because he's just that fucking strong.
And Quria himself. Like, the
God.
entire simulation is getting sent to the Greater Vex. But that just shows how freaking powerful it is, right? The most feasible thing that Quria can possibly imagine of Oryx is him as Alrash, this child, this powerless thing. And ultimately, even Alrash is looking back at Oryx and he's sort of seeing this immense power in him. Nothing else makes sense to the Vex. Oryx is paracausal beyond even their imagining, even though they have the ability to bend time to their will within the Vault. But admittedly, that's kind of their own sort of separate space within the universe. Even though they have the ability to travel through time, which has its own kind of paracausal power to a sense of it, he is so mighty beyond them that they physically can't comprehend him, that even their simulations of him can't necessarily comprehend what's going on.
Yeah.
He is that powerful now, and this is just a proof that, well, frankly, the Vex don't stand a chance. And even though Quria is sending this data, which he knows is a useless simulation, he knows that they can also potentially use it to tap into this really strong ontological power. Ontological? Maybe that's the right way.
Ontological is the right one.
Okay. So yeah, it's just, again, pure expression of power here. And of course, Quria gets taken at the end, and that's kind of game over for it. The Vex incursion is pretty much stopped. So yeah. Next verse actually follows up directly from this, and Oryx says, "I have a gift for you." Savathûn, Witch Queen, looks at him with a dry wariness. "Is it sword logic I need to go into the deep and take your power for myself?" Their echoes move among the war moons, walking together on the hull of a 2,000-year-old warship. Savathûn's fleet has assembled here, in preparation for an assault on the gift mast. The deep is headed that way, on the trail of its prey, and the hive will be its vanguard. It's a Vex I captured. Quria blade transform. It made an attempt to puncture my throne. I thought you might enjoy studying it, Oryx pauses. Digesting through the bond of lineage, he can feel Crota killing worlds and worlds away, and it tastes like sweet fat. Quria contains the Vex attempt to simulate me. It might generate other Jivor Wrath. I've left it with some will of its own, so it can surprise you. I suppose it'll be... I suppose it'll blow up and kill me, Savathûn grouses. Or let the machines into my throne, where they'll start turning everything into clocks and glass. If it kills you, then you deserve to die, Oryx says. Says it with a quiet thrill. A happy thrill, because it's a good... Sorry, it is good to say the truth. I am stumbling over my words now.
I can pick up for a second, man. I don't have strict proof yet, you know. Savathûn strokes the void with one long claw, and space-time groans beneath her touch. This thing we believe, that we're liberating the universe by devouring it, that we're cutting out the rot, that we're on course to join the final shape. I haven't found a strict, eternal proof. We might yet be wrong. Oryx looks at her for a moment. Just a moment. He is nostalgic. He is sentimental. He thinks, imagine the years behind us, the things that we've done. And yet, being old doesn't feel like a scar, does it? It hasn't left me dull. I feel alive with you. And every time I step back into this world from my throne, I feel I'm 2 years old again at the bottom of the universe, looking up. But he says, Sister, it is us. We are the proof. We, the hive. We last forever. We prove it. And if something more ruthless conquers us, then the proof is sealed. She looks back at him with eyes like hot needles. I like that, she says. That's elegant. Although, of course, she has had this thought before.
So basically at that point, Oryx has... You talked about this way at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's that idea that Oryx has basically found a final state by which he can sort of conquer death, right? He is planning on making himself, and this is explained in one of the Shades of Oryx grimoire cards, analogous, I believe is the word, with the concept of death itself. So in other words, wherever there is death, there is Oryx. That's kind of the end state that he hopes to achieve. But also, he hopes that he will be able to live on through the power of anything that is strong enough to kill him. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a very interesting point about how if you kill something more powerful than you essentially become more powerful or as powerful as that thing. So even if something is mighty enough to kill him, that will then be able to go on and exist. And still, it proves the sword logic fundamentally is true. Because if he wasn't strong enough to defeat those individuals and they keep on going on, then they deserve to be there. They were the conquerors. So it then gets very convoluted because the sword logic is a thing of darkness, and we defeat primarily Oryx through the release of light from corrupted, light-blighted orbs. And it's just... It gets very weird into stuff about how... Again, it's like the sword logic is this stuff about subjugation and killing, but all of a sudden, you know, when we went ahead and were in King's Fall, instead of subjugating light and forcing Oryx down, we technically freed the light. And that's kind of the interesting thing about how we killed him. So there is an alternative to the sword logic. But yeah. I think the next thing, if I'm not mistaken... Oh yeah, the next one's a very exciting card. This is from the perspective of Shivor Wrath. And this is the assault on the gift mast. This is another kind of world that the Hive are attacking. And it's a very, very important point because they've been leading up to this for a few cards now. It's kind of a very strong point because the Traveler has left this massive, well, mast of light behind, I guess is the best way of describing it. It's just an enormous amount of energy, and it's been guarded, but it's something the Hive can work towards, and it's another thing they're going to conquer, but it's going to have tons and tons of light for them to feast upon. So this is kind of a grand prize. And as they've been working towards it, all of a sudden things are going to change up pretty dramatically with the next few cards, but also because the next card is very exciting for what it entails. I'd shut them all in cells. Pray and sacrifice, uttered by Shivor Wrath, god of war. Harmony. When the Traveler passed across Harmony, it lied to the orbits of 10 worlds. Now they orbit a black hole. The Traveler lied to the accretion disk so that it would give warm light to these worlds. The Gift Mast. When the Traveler left Harmony, it made a monument out of the black hole's polar jet. In the jet, there is a hollow mast which sings in radiance. This is the Gift Mast, and we will devour it. We will eat the sky out of it. We will snap like a bone. The Harmony sting. The Harmony have weaponized their dead star. They can simulate the accretion disk to fire relativistic plasma jets. We will take the sting. We will use it to burn their worlds. I will grant one temple of tribute to the first ascendant to kill a world. Oryx. I have seen the gift master feast on. I will have the gift master feast on. I will have it first. I am Shivor Wrath, and all war is my temple. Beware the daughters of Oryx, for they will make and unmake with ease. Savathûn. The deceitful sister will be distracted by Arcana and the Song of the Black Hole. Treat her broods with contempt. The Traveller. We chase it and we will devour it. The deep will rule the cosmos. The Dragons. Our gods should be ours alone. Their smug freedom is an insult to me. I'd shut them all in cages. Bring them to me. That last line, I'd shut them all in cells, technically, not cages. But still, really freaking important line. Our gods should be ours alone. Note that it's the dragons. And again, we bring up that note of Ahamkara.
Oh, do you think that this is a reference to the Ahamkara?
Absolutely. You see, this takes me back to what my full theory on the Ahamkara really is, which is that whilst we do most certainly have Ahamkara on Fundament at the time being, I believe that they are a species that travels with the Traveller. And as a result, it explains why they show up at Fundament, it explains why they show up here. But on top of that, you've then got to consider a terrifying possibility, which is that the Worm Gods are simply Ahamkara that were corrupted a long time ago. Because they seem to be sort of, by Ahamkara generally, they're sort of amoral, so to speak. You know, they're neutral, really outsiders. Yeah. And the crazy thing about that is it means they don't always interfere, but they always crop up wherever the Traveller seems to be. So what if it's the case that all of a sudden some of them were just whispered to by the deep and therefore were converted? But the good thing about that then becomes some of them were converted by the deep, some of them potentially could be converted by the light, which makes me forever hopeful that one day in Destiny we will have dragons to fucking ride. Please. Please, Bungie, fucking please.
I want to ride a damn dragon. That's really cool. The other thing that I think that is really interesting about this passage in particular is that, it's one of the only times in the whole of the Books of Sorrow that the power of the Traveller is actually made incarnate through direct action. Like, the Traveller is mocked the entire time as something that builds civilizations and encourages people to be weak, according to the sword logic. But in this example, the Traveller literally inverts a black hole, changes one of the most powerful, dark, and awful things in the universe that's sole purpose is to destroy and devour, into something that gives life to an entire civilization, which is pretty fucking impressive. And it kind of shows for the first time, it really shows the true scope of, like, okay, Oryx is this powerful, but why is the Traveller so powerful? Like, how much more powerful is the Traveller? And this is like a direct example of something the Traveller can actually do, which is like mind-blowing.
Precisely. And I mean, aside from the empowerment of other civilizations, the Traveller is weird because it's always very passive in its nature, It'll go around, it'll terraform the planets, it'll create, as it's described in these cards, these kind of neat little pockets of, inconsequential lore and comfort and order, and then it just moves on whenever the darkness approaches. So it's always very passive, but you're so right. This is very much one of the first times where we see a physical manifestation of its power. The only other times, probably, that we've seen this are when the Traveller has empowered, some races like the Ammonite from way, way back with their own paracausal power, but also with us as Guardians. We are probably one of the more prominent figures as far as you can be concerned with the Traveller actually showing off its power. So yeah, it's so true, man. It's very true. Awesome. Next card is literally called the Gift Mast, and this is where lots of change happens. The Gift Mast, it towers above this star system like a monument to treason. It beams with silver light. It sings a radio lullaby made of soothing lies. In its light live the Harmony, and they are now our prey. Now arrives Shiva Arath at the head of her armies. She fights the Harmony for 50 years with strategies and discipline, but the Harmony turn to dragon wishes, and their wishful bishops wrestle Shivu in the Ascendant Plane. Before I read anything else,
Okay.
dragon wishes. Also another Ahamkara reference, because in the Great Hunt Legends card, where they talk about the Ahamkara, it talks about how bargains were made with the Ahamkara for great power, which sort of fits the description of a wishing dragon. Which is fucking cool. Again, why I believe that they've been moving constantly with the Traveler, and why I think we'll see them again. For hundreds of years... Oh, wait. Yeah, Shiva Arath falls into deadlock. Next arrives Savathûn, flanked by her chorus and her celebrants. They trick their way onto Ana Harmony in disguises, so that they might vivisect these dragons. The Wormar god laughs and laughs. For 100 years, Savathûn keeps secret covens among the Harmony. But first of all was Oryx, whose brood grew in secret places in the rubble of the accretion disk. First Navigator sends rocks and comets to crash into the Harmony worlds, so that the Harmony fleet will be in disarray. He sends seeders to infiltrate the Harmony worlds with his broods. Here at the center of the 5th book, the hive has grown so mighty that it has made the annihilation of all false life routine. Shiva Arath kills the wishful bishops. Savathûn achieves some secret purpose, and Oryx's court tears down the gift mast. The Harmony people wail in terror, and they throw themselves into the silver lakes of Anaharmony to drown. Come, saith Oryx, eat of the gift masts, for I am a generous god. Of its pieces I claim only 2 out of every 5. The mast is full of the light of the traveller. It is full of the marrow of the sky. All who eat it are filled with the ecstatic certainty that they serve a great and necessary purpose. Then saith Savathûn, siblings, listen. We must part ways a while, so that we may grow different. She flies her war moons into the black hole. Her throne becomes distant. Saith Shiva Arath, King Oryx, you take up too much space. Your power constrains too many choices. I must go away from you. She flies her war moons away into the night. Her throne is barred shut. Then Oryx was alone. He spent a while in thought. Those thoughts are recorded here. So this is kind of the final straw, right?
Yeah.
Earlier when Oryx came out of the deep, after he had, sort of dealt with Crota and everything, he absolutely shattered the tribute that was being sent by Savathûn and Shiva Arath, right? So they are now far, far weaker than he ever was, than they have ever been, frankly. And that's restricting their power. And this is part of the reason why they leave. Maybe it's because of the worms as well, but ultimately he's restricting their power. And neither of them can survive like this, essentially. So, yeah, they just leave. They up and leave, and now Oryx and the Worm Gods are the only ones really left within the Hive Pantheon, as well as Oryx's, higher ascendants and, of course, his son and daughters. So, yeah, it's a big, big turning point. It's the real point at which everyone is left behind, and the family breaks up, really.
Yeah. I think that this is... I guess to me, it's really cool because up until this point, Oryx has clearly been the most dangerous and scary of all the Hive. And the first time I read through this and we discussed it on stream, everyone's like, "Well, yeah, but Oryx was the worst because he killed the other 2 and blah blah blah. So obviously he's the most powerful." And up until this point in the story, that would probably hold true. But since his siblings left him to go seek out more power, we have no idea what happens to them after this. And this is before Oryx encounters us, so it is entirely possible that later in the game, Bungie, when these siblings come back, a being of ultimate might and a being of ultimate trickery and cunning could present an even greater threat than Oryx presented originally.
It's crazy to think about because, I mean, Oryx, even though he definitely did empower himself with the traits of both Savathûn and Chivalry Wrath at a certain point, he was all about understanding the universe and whatnot. I'd love to see what it's like to get one of those other two aspects, because really, they've never had anything to divert them from those two sort of goals of one of being total war and the other of being complete cunning. So that I'd love to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be really, it'll be interesting to explore. Like that's the first thing that, I guess, like one of the things that's always made me really hopeful about the future of Destiny as far as a game is they have this stuff constructed in the lore so well that they have these wide open doors to just like create enemies and worlds that will just whip our fucking ass.
Exactly. You know, this is what I love about this universe, though, man. They have a fucking excuse for everything. You can't have
That's true.
In what other fucking story do you have giant sea creatures, massive roving fleets of both ships and war moons? You've then also got time-traveling robots, you've got space pirates in the form of the Fallen, you've got space magic of the light and dark, you have fucking gods.
It's insane. There's so much.
It has everything. Like, name something and it will probably have some kind of representation in Destiny. You know? Like, zombies, fucking Hive, you know? You want your fucking pirates, you got the Fallen. You want Roman Empire, you want some kind of big military guys, you got the Cabal. You want crazy shit all over the place with dragons, Ahamkara, you know? Like, you want Cthulhu, you got the Deep, sort of, and Leviathan. You know, like, there's fucking everything. So it's just, totally nuts. Let's see. Yeah, the last 4 or 5 of these, actually, as well.
I love chat. They have an excuse for everything except for skill-based matchmaking.
Oh my god. Slam 2014, I see you there. Well played, man.
Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat.
Well played, man. Well played.
Well played. All right, so Apocalypse Refrains is our next one. So this is Oryx's thoughts after his siblings leave and he is alone.
Okay. This is our message to the things that we kill. A species which believes that a good existence can be invented through games of civilization and through laws of conduct is doomed by that belief. They will die in terror. The lawless and ruthless will drag them down to die. The universe will erase their monuments. The one that sets out to understand the one true law and to perform worship of that law will, by that decision, gain control over their future. They will gain hope of ascendance, and by their ruthlessness, they will assist the universe in arriving at its perfect shape. Only by eradicating from ourselves all clemency for the weak can we emulate and become that which endures forever. This is inevitable. The universe offers only one choice, and it is between ruthlessness and extinction. We stand against the fatal lie that a world built on laws of conduct may ever resist the actions of the truly free. This is the slavery of the traveler, the crime of creation in which labor is wasted on the construction of false shapes. If you choose to fight us with everything you have, with all your laws and all your games. We will prove our arguments thus. So, again, this is just reinforcing more of what he already knows, you know? It's a way of saying, I am utterly brutal through the sword logic, I am able to decimate whole civilizations, and naught can be done to stop me. So, really, I'm not sure there's much more to add to this, as long as everyone sort of vaguely gets that concept. It's fairly self-explanatory.
Reinforcing his own thoughts as he is about to go off on his own, you know. For the first time, really, minus his moment of combat with Aka when he killed him. This will be the only other time in his life that he has truly been alone. And this time, last time his siblings left by choice, right? And
it's not even that they left by choice; they
got killed by choice. Yeah, you know. So it's again he is alone, and I think that's worth noting as well.
Yes. I mean, he's not even technically got the company of Crota around, although maybe it's the case that he had the two siblings, Halak and Anuk, but that's still a bit of a point of contention because it's a bit hard to judge, and also he's happy with the way that they tend to perform, but also it's just it's all over the place, really. It's just weird like that. According to Cannibal, who is the person who manages my Facebook page, and also a crazy, awesome person who's in the chat right now, only 600 subs to go, which is pretty cool.
600 to go, guys. Make it happen. Go follow Bife. He's almost at 300,000. It's a huge milestone, and if this has not convinced you that he is worth paying attention to, then fuck you.
Strong words.
Strong words.
Damn, thank
Strong
you.
Words. Strong words.
Verse 5-6. Ayat. I wish I fucking knew what that meant. I really do. I'm so sorry, everyone. I don't know what it really means.
Hang on. No, you keep reading. I'll look it up.
All is well, Ayat. What is at war is healthy. What is at peace is sick. My son feeds me rich tribute. My lineages are strong. My worm is vast and satiated. And with its security, I spend my time on study and the communion with the deep. As I learn more secrets, my power grows. As my power grows, I use it to learn more secrets. Ayat, let it be thus, because it must. I wonder if my sisters secrets of their own. If my power exceeds theirs, I may kill them permanently and subsume their thrones. But I think they have strength that they hide from me, developed in time of separation. Ayat, the only meaningful relationship is the attempt to destroy. Savathûn asks if I am as much a slave of the deep as my taken. She asks what price I pay for my power. I am not taken. The hive is not the deep. The deep doesn't want everything to be the same. It wants life. Strong life. Life that lives free without the need for a habitat of games to insulate it from reality. When I make my taken, I make them closer to perfect. I heal their wounds and enhance their strengths. This is inherently good. Ayat, the only right is existence. The only wrong is non-existence. I am Oryx, the first navigator, the taken king. Ayat, let me be what I am, because to be anything else would be fatal. So again, this, as it's saying with these last few cards, again, it's explaining the very nature of his existence, and really talking about kind of the nature of taking as well, which is very interesting. Him talking about how he takes he almost looks as Taken, I suppose, as his children, and you can read these a lot if you actually look over the Taken cards. I was doing this last night with the Focused Fire chat guys. They're a really awesome lore podcast, but he speaks to a lot of the different Taken individuals that he's just got, whether they're Cabal or Fallen or other Hive, with a tone of friendliness, almost like he's a father or a tutor talking to a child,
educating them. If you haven't had a chance to read the grimoire about the specific Taken enemies, he talks about their original form and how that form was a violation of sword logic, and then why he transformed them into what they are. Exactly. Whether it's the acolytes creating the acolyte eyes, or the Taken knights having fire that they spew at you instead of defending themselves with a shield, which is the exact opposite of attacking and killing.
Precisely.
It's really awesome.
But what's it? You visit death. I'm trying to remember because I read that card last night, the one about the knights. You visit death upon your foes, and yet you fear it. You hide behind walls, and that's pretty much it. You hide behind walls. Why defend your own territory when you can take your enemies? Take this knife. It is shaped like... I can't remember from the cards, but it's something along those lines.
Oh, yeah, and he gives them a knife. It's all a knife.
Yes.
This knife is to never be alone. This knife is to take what belongs to you. This knife is whatever.
This knife, in some cases, is loneliness. That's the case of Primus Town, who is the Bond brother of the two, Shield brother strike bosses, Talern and Maul. So, it's every single one of them, again, as we've said, it's just compensating for their weaknesses. But yeah, it's also, again, talking about how he's believing, essentially, in the mission of everything that's being done by the Deep, He is no longer just an agent of the Deep who has his own kind of purposes. He's no longer somebody who is, just sort of sitting there and going along because he also kind of wants to find and kill Teox. No, he is very much invested in this vision. He believes it now. He's no longer that innocent person saying, well, okay, maybe we can go ahead and vie for peace with the Ammonite. Let's go ahead and parley with these people. He is just saying, like, nah, you need to go ahead and you need to embrace this, otherwise you're utterly failing the universe, It's almost like he's sorry for everybody who doesn't understand the sword logic and doesn't understand the final shape, because they're wasting precious resources, they're wasting time, It's like he says in the card before, take all of your laws and all of your, civilization and throw it against me. We'll prove you wrong. We'll prove that we're right. So, again, total belief in that theory by this point. Next is Forever and a Blade. I consider returning to Fundament, learning what became of the God-Wave and the Tungsten Monoliths, and the continents which were all that remained of my people's primal home. But I know what became of all that. It became me. I am the heir of Fundament, the immortal descendant of those 10-year Krill. I asked a question. How can we live in a universe long enough to understand it? And I learned the answer, which is written here in this book. I learned that I had to become most ruthless of all. I don't know where the darkness, which is the Deep, came from, nor the traveler that I hunt, but I will learn. I will learn. This is my inheritance, my estate, eternity, infinity, the whole universe beneath my sword. This is what I rule, forever and a blade. So again, this is basically him talking about how he's looking at the end state now. Now that he's able to finally start cracking the secrets of the universe and he's accepted that he's grown to a certain level of power, he is seeing infinity reaching before him, and he's getting to that point where he's saying, well, I mean, if I embody the sword logic, and if the Hive eventually does rise to become this final shape of the universe, then ultimately, aren't I the victor? Aren't I the one who has ultimately deserved the universe, and it will be my domain? This is, again, partly revealed because he, as it says in the cards for the Echoes of Oryx, he says that he wants to make himself analogous with what is death, a form of death. And by doing so, he writes himself into the fabric of reality, and he's completely and utterly inescapable. So it's not even just that he believes the universe belongs to him. He believes that the universe is his to control entirely. It's his to puppet and command at his will.
Because he controls the ultimate state of the universe.
He will at some point. He will learn those secrets at some point. Well, penultimate card, because technically there's 52. There's the extra one that I read at the beginning, and then there's one after this worm food card.
So we have this one, and then we have one more after it, guys.
Which I do need to find somewhere, but I'm not sure. What will happen if I die? It suits me to consider this, for I am a great ally of death. My daughters study in the quiddity of death, my son practices in the habitation of death, and my great work is, in Ultima, to become synonymous with death, to die and, in dying, live, so that if the universe comes to nothing, then I will be a part of that nothing. Far better to have a savage universe with a happy end than a happy universe with no hope. I have died many times, but these deaths were only temporary. If my echoes are killed, if I am killed in the material world, then I will be driven back to the throne on my dreadnought. If my court and my throne can be beaten, if I am confronted in my throne, if I am defeated there, then I will die. My work will end. This is the pact to which I am bound, in particular, by my study of the Tablets of Ruin, and by my use of the power of the Deep. When I call upon that power, I put myself up as the stakes in the wager. I gamble with my soul. For I am saying, listen, my gods, I am the mightiest thing there is, and I prove it thus. Lately I have realized how much I depend on Crota and my daughters, and even upon my court. If I lost them, my outlays would exceed my intakes. My tributes would not be enough to feed my worm. But this is proper, for if I lost them, it would be because they were not mighty enough. And then I would be a bad father, a bad king. I must test them and fight with them to keep them strong. This is my Gaius. I will go on forever. I will understand everything. There is only one path, and that is the path that you make. But you can make more than one path. Break your cell's bars, make a new shape, make the shape from its path. Find your cell's bars, break out of the bars. Find a shape, make the shape from its path. Eat the light, eat the path. If I fail, let me be worm food. So this card is very important because it pertains to the moment in King's Fall. You guys remember how you can wipe to Doxology, which is basically Oryx clapping his hands very fucking loudly, potentially? I don't know. Doxology, the word itself actually means a form of prayer or praise. And in particular, it's with Oryx, it's a doxology to the darkness. So when he's making said doxology, it's kind of incredible because he is literally saying, look at me, I'm a master of the powers of the darkness. I worship the sword logic, and it is stronger than you, and he's directly calling it forth. So that kind of explains this raid mechanic, which is what's really interesting. He directly praises the darkness with this kind of stuff. But he also acknowledges his own weaknesses here, some of which, by the time this card was even known to exist, had already been fulfilled. So I come to realize how much I depend on Crota and my daughters, and even upon my court. If I lost them, my outlays would exceed my intakes. And so this is really why he's as weak as he becomes by the final part of King's Fall. Now, don't get me wrong, he's no pushover, but
we've killed everything else, weakening him.
Exactly.
Holy
He's
shit.
no longer got tribute from Crota. We murdered almost all of its court. We went ahead and killed his two daughters. We've even gone ahead and stopped all of the kind of infrastructure underneath him to a certain extent, you know? He's no longer got covens of witches summoning taken ogres, which are then capable of being used for great power. He's lost the War Priest, he's lost Golgoroth, he's lost so much by the point that we face him that really it's miraculous because we have severed all of his connections. He is, well, he's almost mortal by that point, not much of a god anymore. And the final calcified fragment, which you only get when you've completed all 50, is verse 5-9, and it's I'll make sure. And this is the point at which you realize that, you talked about this earlier, Ben, which was, he may not in fact be dead, even if he dies. I have made preparations. If I am defeated, I know this will be because my understanding of the universe was incomplete. I failed to anticipate some strategy, some nemesis, perhaps Teox, if she still lives. If I'm defeated, I know that I will fall to something mighty, something that craves might, something that loves what I love, which is the deep, a principle and a power, the versatile protean need to adapt and endure, to reach out and shape the universe entirely for that purpose, and to mutate and redesign and test and iterate so that it can prevail, can seize existence and hold it, certain that this is everything, that there is nothing to life except living. And it has two faces, yet it is one shape. One face is the objective, which is obvious. The other face is that, and the other face is that will to sacrifice things and ideas for a single mission. The mission of becoming the shape, a shape that will not relent. The utter commitment to survival, to draw the right sword and choose where to cut, to allow this hunger to become your weapon. So I will prepare a book, which is a map to a weapon. And my vanquisher will read that book, seeking the weapon, and they will come to understand me, where I have been and where I was going. And then they will take up my weapon, and they will use it. They will use that weapon, which is all that I am. And armed thus with my past and my future and my present, which is a weapon that takes whatever is available, a weapon bound to malice. They will mantle me, Oryx, the Taken King. They will become me and I will become them, each of us defeating the other, correcting the other, alloying ourselves into one omnipotent philosophy. Thus I will live forever. I'll make sure. So, in other words, to break it right down for you, the calcified fragments and the Books of Sorrow, full stop, are a map to a weapon that would allow Oryx to both live on and would allow something mighty enough to challenge him to decimate him if needs be. This is what Touch of Malice is. Eris constructs Touch of Malice partially because she wants vengeance against Oryx, but even she has doubts about that, right? There's even a point if you go ahead and pull up the grimoire behind Touch of Malice, because it is still there in the game, and it's kind of interesting grimoire when you look at it. She even goes ahead and says, you know, here I am with the power to craft from my enemy's darkest secrets a weapon that could wound them at their core. So what stays my hand, you know? Even with everything that's going on, there's caution. So she's immediately knowledgeable of the fact that even if we shoot at Oryx with the Touch of Malice and ultimately kill him, he's going to live on, because we've essentially preserved him through it by being more powerful. We've proved the sword logic. And this goes back to what Savathûn was already being spoken to about when Quria, the blade transform, is handed to her. You know? This is kind of Oryx's final shape. And so in a sense, you see the Great Famine in the middle of Touch of Malice, the sort of rotating discs. It's often speculated that that is the worm of Oryx. It's often speculated that that ravenous heart is the very hunger that Oryx takes. And frankly, I'm in agreement, because Touch of Malice is one of those really crazy exotics where you can sit back and say, this thing has a fucking story.
Yeah, it is. So when the thing was, and I think this thing this brings it sort of even back out of the story, is that when I first got the Touch of Malice as a weapon after I did all this shit, I didn't really fucking understand why I had to do all this garbage to get this dumb weapon, right? Because this information isn't in the game.
Precisely.
For many of you guys listening, whether it's on YouTube or you're watching right now, this is the first time you've ever heard of any of this. And based off of your reactions, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's why Bife has a fantastic YouTube channel that you should go sub to, because he almost has 300,000 subs. You know, it has so much more value as a weapon when you know where it comes from, and when you know you are essentially, the weapon literally is Oryx.
It is the embodiment of his philosophy and his very beliefs. He lives on in the Touch of Malice. Even his ravenous hunger.
His incredible might and power and strength as a god in his entire history exists in something you hold in your hands and you use to kill shit with.
And could potentially consume you like it could have potentially consumed him.
And can kill you just like it could have killed him. Which is incredible. Like, such a...
coolest weapon lore to date. Maybe Thorn and the Last Word surpass it, but even so, this has got a story of 50 fucking grimoire cards to it.
50 grimoire cards over the course of, like, you know, a couple 100,000 years.
It's literally... Dude, this is what makes me excited for Rise of Iron, though. If they even get half of this stuff right when it comes to putting the story in the game, then, goddamn, we are going to have such a fantastic freaking expansion.
Absolutely.
Can't wait for it.
If
I
we
literally
can
can't.
get if this stuff shows up in the game, it would be monumental. It would be so good.
This is why I'm excited for the Yalahorn quest, right? Like, I mind if I go into that quick tangent?
No,
'Cause
listen. That's the whole
not
point.
everybody
The whole point of us doing this was because I talked about the need for Grimoire in game, and people were like, "Well, you don't know. I don't believe you." And then I was like, "Well, let's do this with Bife and see if you don't disagree with your own opinion later." But yeah, go on ahead, man.
So they're making us craft an Iron Yalahorn in the new expansion. There's a few people asking, why craft an Iron Yalahorn? Surely it's just a cheap little skin to cash in on it. And whilst, yeah, sure, there's maybe some novelty value to it, because, oh yeah, you know, it's an Iron Yalahorn and they bring back a favorite Year 1 weapon, there's also a really fucking cool reason in the lore why it technically works, right? It goes all the way back to one of the famous battles of the city, the Battle of the Twilight Gap. This is one of those famous defenses where, quite literally, everything hangs in the balance. The House of Devils, the House of Winter, and the House of Kings are attacking the city all at once. Meanwhile, the House of Wolves, which are supposed to be in the attack, are on the other side of the solar system fighting the reef because the Queen stood in and intervened. In the meantime, the walls of the city get breached by the House of Devils, and hundreds of Guardians die. It takes Shaxx and a bold, risky maneuver filling in the gap in order to make sure the walls hold. Ultimately, that even causes schisms today. Saladin and Zavala hate him because of this decision, because it could have cost the entire city. They held in the end, but the cost to the Guardians was enormous, and their sacrifice had to be honored. Now, in order to do that, there were many different ways of doing it. You know, you could mourn them, but there were two ingenious men throughout the city. At least I assume they're men. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're awoken. Maybe... who knows? Again, I say men as though I can assume I know their gender, but there's Faisal, Crux, and Lomar, who are from the foundry Crux Lomar. They are the inventors of it, and they are the inventors of the Yalahorn. And they said, what better way to honor the Guardians by letting them fight again? So what they did is they found all of the armor of the fallen Guardians, and they crafted a weapon so powerful that it would literally be called the Calling Horn in Viking mythology for the end of the world. Yalahorn signals Ragnarok. It signals the end of days, and it's the final sound that warriors will hear before they're called to battle Fenrir. This is a weapon that truly should signal to your enemies, you're about to fucking die. And it's doing that because it's got the power of all of the Guardians that died. It's got all of their light, and it's representing all of their strength. The wolf pack, the strong mentality of the Guardians, that's embodied in this weapon. Now, who are the other great Guardians that sacrificed themselves for the city time and time again? The Iron Lords. They defended the city at the Battle of Six Fronts along with the Titans. They were the Firebreak commanders that reclaimed the land outside the city. They were the ones who pushed the fallen House of Devils back on their first ever offensive against the city in reality. They made that push. They made those strong defenses, and they sacrificed themselves for the sake of humanity to stop the Siva outbreak from spreading back when the city was barely even the city. That is a sacrifice worthy of an Iron Yalahorn. That's a sacrifice, because when Guardians give their own lives and their own light, Faisal Crux says, no, that's not good enough. We want to honor you by giving you a second chance to fight. That's why Yalahorn is going to be a cool fucking quest. Because we're going to get all of their fucking armor.
Holy shit, I think you gave everyone in the chat goosebumps, man. That was incredible. No, that's awesome. It's going to be
fucking cool. That's why I'm
so just
excited.
while in the middle of your description, I got this, and this is for you on purpose. Darmic sent a $50 tip, which you will be getting, Bife. Broman says, "Buy this guy a fucking beer for me. What a narrating god. Peace and love, brother." Well, Darmic, thank you first of all for the super generous tip, and second of all, I'll make sure that all of that money goes to Bife because he has
you fucking rock, bro.
He has fucking more than earned it. Guys, I don't know if you're subbed to Bife or not, but if that passionate plea and description of how much he cares about this game doesn't speak to you on some level, I don't know what will. You need to go sub to him. He is so close to 300,000 subs. So close, man. Yeah, let me...
Dude, it was a long stream, but it was a fucking cool stream,
no,
dude.
I appreciate you for sticking through the whole thing. you know, and for reading and inputting as much as you did. I personally got much more out of it than I think I would have just reading it by myself. I learned a lot. A shit ton. So thank you. Guys, give Bife some clappers, man. Give him some clappers, guys. Also, apparently, Bife has a Patreon campaign.
Oh, yes, dude. I should totally explain this because
yeah,
I can immediately see...
Do you have a link for it?
Yes, I do, page? But I should totally talk about this before I do, because I can immediately see the Cyber Warriors saying that I'm begging for their money and they shouldn't give it to me, which is a very legitimate point that I thought of myself. So this is the thing, right? Making the lore episodes is very expensive, but none of the money goes to me from this particular lore Patreon, right? What it does, I just posted it in the chat, but everybody's still waving.
No,
so
I'll spam it for you, don't you worry.
But
I'll also include it in all my video descriptions for this video.
Damn.
When I put it up. Absolutely.
But all the money that gets put into that Patreon, basically it goes to one of two things. First of all, and foremost, it goes to paying artists to create the lore episodes. Because you know what? The people I found in this community are so passionate and they are so freaking awesome. And they deserve to get paid because artists don't get paid enough nowadays. It's a really fucking sad reality, which I started to discover the more I worked with these people to make better quality lore stuff. The other cause that it gets to go to, which is what's also pretty exciting, happens whenever I have an excess. So this happened this month. We got about $1,850 from the Patreon in its first month, which is crazy good. So 1,000 of that went to creating lore content, 600 of which is going into the next episode of the Book of Sorrows, which is going to be seriously fucking cool. It's basically just the bit where Akka gets murdered is kind of the gist of it for this next episode.
Awesome.
But the remaining 800 is earmarked specifically to go back to the community or alternatively to go to charity. So as an example...
Awesome.
This first month, we gave $850 to Seattle Children's. So I don't get a penny of this, and I'm fucking happy that I don't. Because you know what? There are people in this world that deserve it more, and I'm not going to get paid twice for a video when there are artists out there who deserve some decent pay, and charities that could get this money too. And even if it's a small amount of excess and it's not reasonable, heck, that's fine by me, because you know what? I'll buy a copy of something, a game that we can give away, and I'll throw it out to the patrons as a giveaway. Because you know what? Fuck, like, let's do something good with that. That's the mentality behind this, you know? So, that is
you are a fucking stellar individual, man. Holy shit.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's incredible, man. I love that you've got things set up that way. That is so far above and beyond, you know? Truly a fucking good guy. What a fucking good guy this Bife guy is. This is Bife's patron right here.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This community is something that made it happen. So don't you thank me, because again, technically none of this money that's getting given to charity is mine. You know, like
it's everyone else.
When we sent the thing to Seattle Children's Hospital, I sent it on behalf of Mara Cognitum, which is kind of the impromptu name for the people who follow and support the Patreon. And it's basically they're the ones who did it. They're the ones who get the credit. Not me. Definitely not me. All I'm doing is I'm a caretaker at this point, you know? And frankly, people wanted to see this lore content happen, and I fucking love that they did. So that's kind of the gist of how everything was working out with this. That's what my fucking mission ended up being. So yeah, that's rant over. And thank you. You fucking rock. Awesome. And so does your audience. Holy shit. Your audience has been fucking incredible through all of this.
No, they've, you know,
the most mannered set of people on stream I've ever fucking seen in the chat. So thank you so fucking much.
Oh, totally. I mean, this is something I'm passionate about, and I know you are. You know so much more than me. And it's been a hell of a stream, man. Yeah, man. I hope that you hit 300,000 today, and if not today, super soon.
Fingers crossed, man. I mean, I'll release a video today, and hopefully that'll have some impact as well.
I'll be putting your Patreon and your YouTube page link in the description of all the sections of this as well. Ended up being a lot more of a reading than a discussion, but you know what? I'm happy about it. So I think that so much can be taken away from experiencing the lore in a different way. Yeah.
Damn.
Oh man. Well, Bife, thank you for joining me today, man. I'm sure you are exhausted and very tired and ready to go get a beer or some sleep.
I don't know about beer or sleep, but yeah, you know what? I think actually, yeah, I should probably go to sleep. I'm trying to remember when I was last asleep, and I think it was one of the early hours of yesterday morning. So I think I'm somewhere on the 20, 23, 22, 24 hour mark. So
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall asleep and see what happens. I just hope that actually, you know what? I'm tempted to say fuck it because see if I can watch the sub count get to 300k. I don't know.
I mean, either whatever you want to do, man. But thank you for being an amazing member of this community and for gracing us all with your knowledge and your beautiful voice for this entire experience, man.
Thank you for fucking inviting me, because this was a damn pleasure. I was seriously looking forward to something like this happening, and I'm so glad we got to do this.
Super good. Well, we should try and get together like once a month and do a show like this or something. Maybe not this long, but something.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, I'd love to do that shit. That would be awesome, dude.
All right, man. I love it. I will talk to you later, man.